Hey everybody, it's Dusti Martin with Platinum Living Realty, stopping in to give you your September 2019 market update for Scottsdale, Arizona. So let me just start by going over the fact that our active listings are down actually 13.8% year over year, which is great if you're trying to sell your home in Scottsdale. Our sold listings are actually up 0.1%, so not a whole lot year over year from last year, but the good news is there are still more buyers than there are inventory. So that is great if you live in the Scottsdale area and are still looking to sell your home, especially with the recent drop in interest rates. The other thing that is good news for sellers right now is that the median sale price per square foot has actually gone up 3.9% year over year from last year. So that's great. It's currently sitting at $232.33 per square foot. That's much higher than the rest of the valley as a whole. So Scottsdale is a great place if you're still looking to buy or to sell because you're getting a really great home, and with the lower interest rates you have more purchasing power right now, which is really great. So for example, on a $400,000 home with that quarter of a percent interest rate drop, you now have almost $50,000 more purchasing power than you did before. So before, when you were looking at $400,000, looking to keep your payments under $2,000, now you're at $450,000 for the same payment. So good news for buyers and for sellers. Our month supply is actually down again this month. It's at 13.9%, and we've only got a 2.58 months supply, which versus last year we had a 3-month supply of inventory here in Scottsdale, meaning if that's how many homes are sold per month over how many people are looking to buy, you've kind of got some work to do there. But like I said, the month supply is actually down 13.9% year over year from where it was last year. So another great thing for sellers, not so much for buyers, especially in the lower price points, is that there's still more buyers and less inventory for those buyers. The last thing I want to cover when we're comparing year over year stats is the median days on market. That is actually up, and that's a trend I'm seeing throughout the North Valley as a whole. So median days on the market is up by 8.5%, and I think that's because buying has slowed down a little bit and prices have leveled up a little bit, but people are still continuing, other agents and sellers are still continuing to push the upper ends of the limits when they list their homes, which means that the homes are selling for about the same, if not a little bit less, for a list to sale price ratio, but they're still continuing to price higher and higher and higher because they haven't really gotten the memo yet that things have actually slowed just a tiny bit in the North Valley. So our median days on market right now is 64. The one thing that I think most sellers should keep in mind in Scottsdale, and here's the bad news, is that right now over 30% of all listings in Scottsdale do not sell. So it is really important to make sure that your home is in the most sellable condition that you can have it in, that you pick the right realtor for your market, to make sure that the home is being marketed properly and is being put in front of the right buyers to the best of its ability, and that you are not pricing the home above the market as opposed to right in line or maybe even slightly below the comps. So keeping in mind with the fact that our month supply month over month has actually gone up a little bit, but year over year is still down. So just to keep in mind, we're going to have a little shift in the economy, and that's okay. Having a recession, quote unquote, does not equal a housing crisis, and that's what people need to understand. But it's still a good little blip of time. We're still in a perfect little bubble where it benefits both the buyers and the sellers because supply is still fairly low for all of Scottsdale as a general whole, but it also does mean that buyers are being a little more choosy when they're going out and purchasing their home because they realize that prices have recovered, and so they are still looking for a deal. You want to make sure that your home is the prettiest one on the block and that it's priced the best as well. The other thing that I found really fascinating for the Scottsdale market is the luxury supply and demand right now. So I'm talking about homes that are high end to luxury market in Arizona. You're looking anything above 700,000 to $1 million, and that price range right there, the inventory is actually higher than the demand. The demand's down here for the $500,000 to $700,000 range. So in Scottsdale, you still, if you're under that $500,000 mark, the great news is if you're a seller, you've got all the buyers, like all of them, which is great. But once you get to that $500,000 to $700,000 mark, there's a little less buyers, and so there's slightly more inventory, but the real big break is right at the $500,000 mark. But the big news is that supply and demand between $1 million and $3 million homes is that the supply is sky high, and we have a lot of those in Scottsdale. So if you're in that market, that niche, or close to it on either side, that's something you should be paying attention to, and you need to be pricing your property appropriately, knowing that there's an oversupply of luxury listings in our market. The other thing that I found weird is that once we get to the $3 million mark and over for luxury listings, there's actually low supply. So if you're in the 1 to 3 million mark right now, you're getting squeezed. There is a lot of inventory on the market right now. But if you're at the $3 million mark, you really are closer to being in line with supply and demand, which is great news if you have one of the higher dollar luxury listings. But so like I said, anything under 500 in Scottsdale right now is not only hard to find, but there's lots and lots of buyers who would love to live in Scottsdale if only they could afford it. So if your home is under the $500,000 mark, you are sitting pretty, and you could probably bet that you're going to have multiple offers. The $500,000 to $700,000 range, or $500,000 to $700,000 range, is a little different. You're starting to feel the squeeze, but not quite yet. You might expect 1 or 2 offers as opposed to 6 or 7 or 12, and that's still okay as long as the home is priced appropriately and you get the top dollar that you can get and that it will appraise for. That's the important part right there. But like I said, right now in our luxury market between 1 and 3 million, that's where sellers are having a tough time. So if you know anybody who has any thoughts of buying or selling in Scottsdale, give me a call at 480-717-9405. I'd be happy to drill down the statistics and the demographics for your zip code and for your neighborhood to make sure that your home isn't one of the 30% of homes that are not going to sell this month. Have a great day.